So today's rant is on more of Trump's character. Yesterday, there's a whole thing on Mary Trump filing a lawsuit against the Trump kids and Donald Trump. Mary Trump is the niece of Donald Trump. She is the daughter of Donald Trump's oldest brother, Frederick, the guy who died many years ago of alcoholism. You heard him talking about him on the campaign trail. She wrote a book about him, and the book it covered the period of time from when she was a little girl opening up presents around the Christmas tree all the way through the inauguration. And she talked about the kids and the relationships between the families, and there were lots of conversations and quotes, and the book was filled with salacious stuff. Lots of stories there. It was not flattering at all towards Donald Trump. And I got to thinking, how many relatives do I have that hate me enough to write a book about me? How many relatives do I have that have enough information and dirt on me to fill a book? And the answer is 0 and 0. How many relatives do I have that would file a lawsuit against me? 0. So then I thought, well, how many relatives do I have that would vouch for my character? And the truth is, any one of my aunts or cousins, any of my blood relatives, I could count on to give me a decent character reference. It wouldn't be making me look like a saint, but it wouldn't be throwing me under the bus. It would be something, she's a pain in the ass. She's a little wild. She's a little troublemaker, but she grew up to be really responsible. She's a good person. You can trust her. She's honest, blah, blah, blah. The end. And it would look pretty much like anybody else who lives a decent life. But everybody who talks about Donald Trump in a good light is either an employee or working in the White House. And they make him look like a saint. And so I don't buy it. I think it's a bunch of bullshit. And I also think that is everyone that he knows covered by a non-disclosure agreement? Why is it that every time you come in contact with somebody, you have them sign an agreement that says you're never going to speak about them? There has to be something to hide there. Because this has been going on for years, not just since he's been working in the White House. Which, by the way, in my opinion, is a conflict of interest because there's no level of transparency. If you have somebody sign a non-disclosure agreement, there is absolutely no way for you to find out what people are saying or doing or talking about. And these are employees of ours. These are people are paid by our tax dollars. So they should be answering to us. We should be able to know what they're talking about. Okay, I digress. So now, we don't have anybody saying anything good about him. And I'm thinking to myself, all about the people whose reputations, lives, legacies that he has totally trashed. So the first person that comes to my mind is Rex Tillerson. And he's the guy who was just about to retire to his cattle ranch in Texas. He's the billionaire, gazillionaire guy who ran Exxon. And Donald Trump sucked him into a meeting, made him the Secretary of State, and ruined his life. He's the guy who the quote came out that Rex Tillerson called him a moron, and that was all we heard about him. He was history. And then I'm thinking about the career military men, the generals, the H.R. McMaster, the Jim Mattis, and I'm thinking about the government officials like Jim Comey and Robert Mueller, who were suits and went to work every day and worked hard and went through their entire careers without any kind of drama, and now they're just totally thrown under the bus. And I'm not even talking about the Sean Spicers and the Reince Priebus's, who, by the way, had pretty impressive careers in Washington to begin with, before they went anywhere near the Trump machine. Reince Priebus was the head of the RNC before he had anything to do with Trump. Okay, so they're all ruined. Now we've got this other group of people who are ruined for very, very different reasons. We've got Roger Stone, we've got Steve Bannon, we've got Michael Flynn, we've got Paul Manafort, we've got, who was the other one? Rick Gates. All people who are in jail, have been in jail, or have been pardoned. These are criminals who were in high positions working in the White House. Nothing but the best people. Oh, the coffee guy. Remember the Papadopoulos guy, who he had sitting at the table several times. He was photographed sitting in board meetings with cabinet members, and when Trump was asked about it, he said, "Oh, he's just the coffee guy." He was not the coffee guy. So he went to jail. Then there's this other group of people who is more relevant to the whole reason why I'm talking about this. And these are the people who are still in positions of power and still in Trump's good graces, and Orens in Trump's good graces. So there we have the top of that list would be Steve Miller. He's the short, bald guy, the guy who was the architect of the kids in cages. He's the guy who thinks that every white supremacist deserves a second chance. Don't even get me started on Jared Kushner. That's a whole nother topic. But it's not take your kids to work day every day. Ivanka and Jared, that's a whole nother shitstorm for another day. Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education, has never been a teacher. She has no credentials for that job. She just comes from a billionaire family. And her brother's the guy, Eric Prince, who was raising money for the Trump campaign last time and got busted moving money around in the Seychelles. Vince McMahon's, I don't know if it's his wife or his daughter, but Linda McMahon of the McMahon family, the famous McMahon family who owns the WWE, which is the World Wrestling Federation. Yes, fake wrestling. She is the secretary. She's in charge of the Small Business Administration for the United States of America. And then there's two people who are not in power any longer, but who I want to mention because they are both still in Trump's good graces and probably working somewhere underground. And that is Alex Azar, who was the Attorney General in Florida. He's the guy who wouldn't put Jeffrey Epstein in prison. And Jeffrey Epstein's the guy, I can't even make this up. He's the guy who ran the child sex ring and was convicted and killed himself in prison. He hung himself. That's insane. And the last one is Ryan Zinke, who is Don Jr.'s hunting buddy. Yes, his hunting buddy. And Donald Trump, as the President of the United States, put him in the position to roll back regulations so that it is now legal to kill elephants in Africa and bring their heads back home to America. That's it. Got to get them out. Vote.